In the 5th installment of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, we witness a flashback to the beginning of the Clone Wars in which Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker engage in a lightsaber sparring session at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. In this scene, it is apparent that Anakin has already reached a level of power close to that of his master, if not even having surpassed Obi-Wan at this point, despite only being a Padawan. But what is made abundantly clear in this encounter is that the level of wisdom possessed by Master Kenobi remains leagues above that of his overeager apprentice. This is a harkening back to Anakin's earlier, darker years when his anger and his lust for power got the best of him more often than they did in the later years of the Clone Wars when Anakin was on the verge of becoming a Jedi Master. His personality in this scene is actually more in line with that of his current self in Darth Vader. Despite him being younger in Attack of the Clones than he was in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin has always seemed more aligned with Vader in Episode 2 than he was in the first half of Episode 3, because as a younger Jedi, Anakin was not able to control or conceal his emotions as effectively as he was later on. And that is why it made the most sense to flash back to this time period in particular. This is around the same time in which Anakin blamed Obi-Wan for holding him back after his mother died and he slaughtered the Sand People on Tatooine. And that's an important thing to highlight in this series in order to remind the audience and to emphasize the motivations behind Darth Vader's lust for revenge over Kenobi. In Darth Vader's final reflection in Episode 5, which appears to be a shared memory between Obi-Wan and Vader, and which shows us how their session on that day ended, Obi-Wan disarms Anakin and then says,
"You're a great warrior, Anakin, but you'll need to prove yourself as your undoing. Until you overcome it, a Padawan you will still be."
This particular portion of this flashback begins and ends with Darth Vader, who is still plagued by his desire to make his power known. It was his downfall all those years ago, and it ultimately played into his turn to the dark side. Obi-Wan is right, it was a great hindrance for Anakin. But now as a Sith Lord, Vader is more intent than ever on proving to Obi-Wan that he is the master here, that he is now the dominant and almighty force he strived to be recognized as all those years ago. Obi-Wan, however, still recognizes that trait as Vader's greatest weakness, perhaps his only weakness at this point. And that's why this flashback was important for us to see here. It highlights Vader's continuing need to prove himself, particularly to Obi-Wan, as well as Obi-Wan's recognition of that mindset and just how much all of this means to Vader. Obi-Wan actually explains this to Reva as well when he's asking her to join him and she asks how he knows that Vader won't see it coming. Obi-Wan replies, "Because all he will see is me." We have seen this in earlier episodes as well. In Episode 3, Vader doesn't just want Kenobi dead, he wants him to suffer as much as possible. He wants Obi-Wan to feel his power. Darth Vader may believe that he and Anakin are completely separate individuals, and in many ways they are, but the reality remains that Obi-Wan knows who he used to be better than anyone. He knows his flaws, and Vader's actions in this series only confirm to Kenobi that those weaknesses remain a part of him. Vader has detached himself from Anakin in many ways, but no matter how hard he tries to bury his former self, the reality of who he used to be will always be a part of who he is and who he has become. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is a reminder of those uncomfortable realities which Vader has fought so hard to destroy. But with that, I am going to go ahead and wrap this video up here, so thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought about the flashbacks in the Kenobi series down below. Remember to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel for future Star Wars content, and until next time, remember, the Force will be with you, always.